Oh boy, here we go again. Bubble Tea is one of those pretentious video game essayists who make very overly long videos about what are essentially video games for teenagers who like teenage-oriented anime. Persona 3, the answer is misunderstood. I mean, what's misunderstood about it? I mean, from what I saw when I played the game, it's mostly grinding. There's no social links. The combat got very repetitive, and the story sucks. What's misunderstood about it exactly? I'm not watching your video because I can pretty much form that opinion by myself without having to rely on a pretentious YouTuber. Today I'll be replying to this video, how Persona 3 Reload missed the mark. I just recently beat Reload a second time. I'm not really sure how it missed the mark because it's basically Persona 3, the original game, but way better. It has more fleshed out characters. Also, the game has very positive feedback from fans. Also, Persona 3 Reload outsold the original game. So I'm not really sure how exactly it missed the mark. I mean, I would have understood this. I would have understood this video title if Persona 3 Reload, sold poorly or got a lot of negative feedback. But no, a lot of people love it, including me. Alright, so just to get this out of the way, I already played Persona 3 FES and Portable as a kid. I played Reload, thought Reload was way better than both those games, yada yada yada. Let's get into the video. And gosh, why is this video an hour long? You couldn't just sum this all up in 5 or 10 minutes. Like, this is essentially just a 10-minute opinion piece, but dragged out for whatever autistic reason. One theory I have as to why these, YouTube essayists make their videos so long is not because they have a lot to say. What they essentially have to say are overly long, basic opinions with a slightly higher vocabulary that sounds smart. No, they make these videos overly long, not just because, they get some sort of positive feedback from pseudo intellectuals, but also because, hey, if you make the video way too long, there's a good chance that someone like me won't do a video response to it. Thankfully, I have a lot of free time because I'm a military veteran. My bills are taken care of. I get paid over $1,000 every month. My life's awesome. So I have plenty of time to actually sit down and watch and react and reply to this video. And yeah, I'm not going to do any sort of fancy editing or whatnot because there's a good chance this video won't get any views anyway. Really, this is just me venting my own frustrations. One big problem I really have with a lot of these, YouTube quote unquote video essays is that they have commenters and fans who clearly didn't play the game that they're criticizing. So as a result, these stupid people who can't form their own opinions by themselves will let the YouTuber do it for them and further spread even more misinformation. Like this moron here saying that Persona 3 Reload is quote unquote more brain dead. Yeah, more brain dead, even though there are new boss fights, new attacks, and whatnot, but sure. And let me just point this out, Persona 3 FES, or the original Persona 3, they're not hard games. They literally have easy mode. During the combat, the characters basically, play themselves. The game is mostly on autopilot for the most part. Like, Persona 3 FES just plays like garbage. And the fact is that a vast majority of people prefer controlling the party members. Also claims that there's nothing to do in Persona 3 Reload, but Persona 3 Reload literally has more and new content. So I asked him, what could you do in FES outside of grinding? And he basically refused to elaborate because he's such an idiot. As someone who's played FES first and grew up with it, I gotta say, a lot of Persona 3 FES fans are pretentious. If you criticize FES, they'll say that you never played the original game, you never played FES. And to those people, I just recommend that you just go and do a Persona 3 sub. I mean, just stick to playing FES, and it's okay to prefer the inferior Persona 3 FES over the superior Persona 3 remake that everybody's been asking for years.
Of my time in this fandom, a Persona 3 remake is something that has always been on people's minds. Since Persona 5 really popped off, people were hoping for a Persona 3 remake in the likeness of Persona 5. When Persona 3 Dancing came out, people were 100% positive that it was just on the horizon. That ended up not being the case. But people still held on to that hope. As for me, I was pretty comfortable with Persona 3 as is. I never really felt as though I needed a remake. I think another part of it was that the fandom really tainted the idea of a remake for me.
Really? You don't think Persona 3 FES needed a remake? I mean, not being able to control the characters is a pretty big flaw. Also, a lot of the voice lines in the English dub for Persona 3 FES don't sound that good. I mean, Fuka's original voice actor sounded terrible. Natsuki sounded terrible. It doesn't help that Junpei's original voice actor uh, did some unmentionable things that I can't really say. And the fact that you let a fandom ruin something for you is really lame. I mean, I like Breaking Bad, but I don't let the annoying fans of that series ruin it for me. I also like South Park. I don't let the annoying fans of that series ruin it for me. Like, if you're gonna let fans bother you, you might as well just go put yourself in a cave and never interact with anybody or anything or any kind of media whatsoever. Because let's face it, every fandom has an annoying group of people. That's just how life is nowadays, or has always been when you think about it.
Myself way more receptive to the idea than I thought I would. I guess I never considered a faithful remake to be an option. I just went on the assumption that Atlus would ruin everything because that's the image everyone planted in my head. That and Atlus has a track record for doing that kind of thing apparently. I never played any of these games, so I can't attest to their quality. Nevertheless, here we are right now.
Wow, so bro just really opened up and flat out admitted that he let the internet influence his own opinions on media that he hasn't even had real experience with. Like, what a freaking moron. Imagine being so fragile that you need, other people to form your own opinions for you. Like, this is just a peak example of that meme of letting a YouTuber decide your own opinion. Only in this guy's case, it wasn't really a YouTuber, it was just random people on the internet. What a gullible fool. But real talk, jokes aside, if you unironically let people online sway or influence your opinions and thoughts, that really just goes to show how much of a weak-willed individual that you are. Like, you are just a peak example of being pathetic, in my opinion.
Of nightlife. The main cast of Persona 3 are not tied down by parents or guardian figures, so logically they have the most freedom and agency with their time. As such, the player is given time to do whatever they want at night. No need for back massages or your uncle's permission. In the original game, you were limited to just a few select activities at Paulownia Mall. Your options have been expanded to Iwatodai Strip Mall as well. In fact, a lot of the restaurants there have specials that can only be bought on certain days of the week. You're also able to work at certain places as a way of earning money without needing to grind battles or chests for it. These are nice additions, but for the most part, the first 2 months of the game will largely be the same as the original, with you focus on grinding away your social stats. They added a few more stat checks here and there to make them a little more.
Alright, so one thing I really don't like about this video is that he's just stating the obvious. Like, he claims that this video is for people that already played Persona 3 FES or Reload or the original or Portable or whatever. So why are you already explaining game mechanics and things that everybody who's played the game already knows? Like, hurry up and get to the point. You are just dragging out this video. Analysis, more like YouTube summarizations. I mean, these people that make these type of videos, they're just saying what anyone who's already played the game already know. You're just summarizing the game.
Internet. You can buy URLs from the sketchy dark web guy. These can increase your social parameters just like everything else, but can also unlock certain item options for purchase, increase your wages for your job.
Oh my god, people who have already played the game already know this basic information. Can you please get to the point of your video already? You know, the title of the video where you say Persona 3 Reload missed the mark. Because what you're saying right now is you're basically just describing the original game plus the remake. Like, I'm sorry if I come off as like a very impatient person. In real life, I'm not an impatient person. You know, I was waiting at the dentist the other day. I had to wait like an hour. No problem at all, because I had a book and a phone to distract myself. The problem is that I'm over here editing having to sit through this boring yap fest of the video, and all he's doing is just saying the obvious. Like, just get to the point already. Jesus Christ.
Idea as the original. Tartarus is largely just a playground for the player to kill monsters and collect treasure. The early floors are pretty simplistic and ease you into the dungeon crawl. As you progress on to further blocks, however, the architecture starts to become more complex. There are even some dynamic elements to the environment which are really satisfying to look at. You also start discovering more of the anomalies you can randomly stumble upon throughout the dungeon. Some of these are familiar, like dark rooms or the presence of more red.
Alright, so in this portion of the video, he's talking about how Tartarus improved some things from the original. We don't care, we already know this information. Get to the point. Remember that Tally South Park episode where Kyle just keeps saying that they don't care about the plot that's going on? That's how I feel about this video. He's just summarizing what I already know.
Reload's way of emphasizing each character's unique playstyle is through the use of theurgy and personality traits. About 2 months into the game, you're introduced to the
I mean, yeah, that's a new feature, but you can also emphasize, the character's playstyle through their stats and their abilities. Yukari's a healer, Junpei's a heavy hitter, Akihiko's good at, lowering attack skills. Aigis is also a heavy hitter, basically like the original game. And not to mention, each character has their own unique elemental attack, just like the original game. Like, when are you gonna stop just summarizing information that players already know?
protagonist victory pose. With the bow, he has a more elegant stance. With the spear, he looks off to the side like that fight was nothing. With the hammer, he does a hair flip. This shit goes hard, bro.
Reload did it better. When I played Persona 3 FES, I always just had the protagonist stick with the main weapon, the main short sword. I feel like him using other people's weapon types takes away from his own identity, but hey, you do you.
Persona 3 and Persona 3 FES on the PS2 are still the only Persona games where the protagonist is able to wield multiple weapon types. I think there's a discussion to be had about how much this actually impacts the gameplay experience. In the original game, the different weapon types gave the player different ways to approach enemies. You could
Not really. The protagonist can already summon 12 personas. Like, what, you want him to be more overpowered and broken? What a Gary Stu character. And if you want to use different weapon types, I just suggest go playing another game. Like, go play Devil May Cry, go play God of War, go play Final Fantasy Tactics. It's not like using different weapon types will unlock like new combos or something like that. No, it's still just turn-based combat. And if you're going to call Persona 3 Reload bad for disregarding such a useless feature, then you also might as well crap on Persona 3 Portable, Persona 4, Persona 5, or heck, even the original Persona 2.
like Cruel Attack or Vile Assault. The AI in the PS2 version could do whatever it should be able to do. The Reload AI can't even do everything it should be able to do in Reload.
Why are you playing a game with AI on it? Like, what, do you just want the game to play itself? Like, do you just not like having control of the party? Do you just not like gameplay at all? Most people prefer, controlling the party instead of letting some AI do all the work for you. And I know the common argument in defense for this stupid AI is that, oh, it makes the game more challenging. Well, no, Persona 3 isn't really challenging. It was never that challenging. You literally level up to win. You can just exploit weaknesses by using elements. For crying out loud, Persona 3 FES has a easy mode on it. Like, this game isn't hard. This ain't no Dark Souls or Bloodborne. Like, why are you even playing a video game if you don't even like playing the game?
Members don't also seem to be aware of what fills their theurgy gauges faster. Sure, it'll fill up no matter what, but the key word here is efficiency. The AI is smart enough to use their theurgy attacks though. Hell, they even know which one is better to use depending on the situation. For example, Mitsuru will
There he goes again, complaining about the AI. Look, the AI feature is mainly for people who don't feel like playing the game, Like, there are a set group of Persona fans who just only play these games for the story, characters, and romancing and whatnot, and there's nothing wrong with that. The thing is, they don't really, complain about the gameplay or complain about controlling the characters. Like, if you have an issue with controlling the characters, just say that, you prefer games on autopilot.
So let me make something clear here. The cutscenes definitely have way more production value than the originals. Characters are more on model and
Was Persona 3 ever really that edgy? I don't really think so. It had themes of death, but that was more mature and serious. At the end of the day, Persona will always just be a game with slice of life elements, made to appeal to teenagers. I mean, oh boy, wow, look at how edgy the original is with this bright colors, and it's oh man, another beach anime trope. Oh yeah, like there's not a million of those already. And the original cutscenes in Persona 3 look like complete garbage. I'm really happy that Reload decided to improve those. Like, oh no, Persona 3 Reload looks more like a Persona game. The horror.
is it just me, or did they make some of these scenes just softer? There's the opening cutscene I mentioned earlier, but the prime example of this is the protagonist awakening to his persona. Any and all intensity from that scene is lost. In the original, Yukari tries to pull the trigger, but is too hesitant and gets clapped. The protagonist stares at the gun, then remembers that very brief moment when she pointed it to her head, and then starts to piece it all together.
Very brief, bro. Like, while all this is happening, the monster that attacked them is just standing there and doing nothing. Like, oh wow, so much tension right here, folks. Also, a lot of this basically happened in Reload. I'm not really sure what your issue is. I'm starting to see why this video has a pretty high like to dislike ratio. It's not because people, disagree with your points. It's more along the lines that you just spread misinformation. Alright, so the rest of the video is just him summarizing the game, making more comparisons, complimenting Persona 3 Reload. Like, he doesn't say Persona 3 Reload is a bad game or anything, hence why the video wasn't even more dislike bomb. But, it's just a lot of more of him giving out subjective opinions, saying the obvious, explaining basic mechanics, just summarizing the story. Yep, blah, 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 blah. Information that people like myself who played Persona 3, FES, Portable, and Reload, information that we already know. I think we can still all come to the consensus that while Persona 3 Reload is flawed, Persona 3 FES and especially Persona 3 Portable are just as flawed, if not even worse. And if you prefer the inferior version, that's perfectly fine. Anyway, overall, Bubble Tea, I think you're just misinformative. I think your video is very boring. I know I can't really be talking much, but to be fair here, I don't really do all this fancy editing and whatnot that you do. I'm glad that I made more money than you in a month. I mean, wow, look at this Patreon. That's adorable. Who gives this loser money? Bubble Tea has been sinking in views recently, and understandable. His channel and the content are just very boring and very predictable. But hey, when that Persona 4 remake comes out, I'm pretty sure you can, fish views off of complaining about that game too. But seriously though, milking Patreon, having members only, like, buddy, if you want money, go out there and just get a regular job like everybody else, or go enlist in the military. Not that I think that you would actually make it.